really says something about the obstruction in the 111th Congress that a last-second compromise agreement to give aid to 9/11 first responders is being characterized as a Christmas miracle. In our third story, 9/11 responders don't care what you call it because they're finally getting the support the federal government owes them. Yesterday, we told you about Tom Coburn leading the Republican blockade of the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act. The Oklahoma senator complained the $6.2 billion bill wasn't funded properly. He also complained there were no Senate hearings to discuss the bill, even though an exclusive countdown investigation discovered, via the Google, there was indeed a hearing in the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee last summer. Senator Coburn is on that committee, but was absent that day. Until today, Coburn's obstruction on behalf of Republicans was in stark contrast to the tidal wave of bipartisan support for the bill outside of Congress. The unlikely coalition of Rudy Giuliani, Jon Stewart, and Shepard Smith was joined yesterday by the Oklahoma City firefighters, who released a statement urging their senator to quit playing politics. Quoting the release, the Oklahoma firefighters urge our two senators to stand tall with America's first responders. Instead of employing procedural tactics of delay, vote to give the heroes of 9/11 the protection and benefits they have earned. This morning, in Coburn's office, the bill's co-sponsors and Harry Reid made a last-ditch appeal for compromise. To Senator Chuck Schumer's surprise, he found a willing partner.
The minute, as I said, that Senator Coburn listed his first concern and we saw that he was being reasonable, we knew that we had gotten it done. All the changes that were made does not betray a single worker who got ill for rushing to the towers.
According to the agreement, the compensation fund will be kept open for 5 years instead of 10. The dollar amount will shrink from $6.2 billion to $4.2 billion. And when the compromise bill finally made it to the floor of the Senate, it was passed with unanimous consent. Senator Coburn issued a statement that read in part, "Every American recognizes the heroism of 9/11 first responders, but it is not compassionate to help one group while robbing future generations of opportunity." In fact, no one was ever getting robbed here. The bill was fully funded before and after Coburn got involved. Of course, the Senate's changes required another vote in the House, where the Zadroga bill was again passed, this time with 168 members not voting. Among those splitting early for Christmas vacation, Republican Speaker-elect John Boehner. Here's hoping he enjoys his Christmas as much as 9/11 responder John Feal.
We have gone eight Christmases without federal assistance. This Christmas, while you might not get a check by Friday morning or open a box with the help that says the government helped you, you can have rest and peace of mind knowing that help is on its way in 2011. This Christmas will be the best Christmas that I've ever known.
Joining me now is one of the champions of this bill in the House of Representatives, Anthony Weiner of New York. Congressman, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, thanks.
I'm tempted to make this congressman will be interviewed joke, but I'm guessing you get a lot of that, huh?
Well, it is. I'm relieved. You know, look, you were right. I mean, there was a lot of cynicism throughout this process, and it took 9 years for really crummy reasons. It just, first we had the Bush administration that refused to do anything to help these people, and then the last 2 years, just about every obstacle was thrown in the way. But all of that being said, this really is remarkable that we got this done, because if you think about it, the very idea that Senator Coburn could stop this entire program dead in its track, despite what is really a national consensus around it, shows you the dysfunction of the Senate. But this got done. Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, that guy John Feal, who brought busloads of people down again and again and again, 20-some-odd hearings. I'm glad it's getting done, and it doesn't change the fact that all around our city, all around the country, are people with that distinctive hacking cough because they're dying slowly by degrees, and hopefully now at least they're going to get some health care they deserve.
I wanted to get your take on the actual final package that was approved. There were a few things that changed from the original bill that you championed in the House. The time horizon, it was smaller in amount, a cap on lawyers' fees, and some sort of additional regulations to make sure there wasn't double dipping, in the words of Senator Coburn. What's your general sense about this?
Look, the biggest change was the one that took a 10-year program, made it a 5-year program. And we're going to start almost immediately making sure that it gets expanded. The bottom line is this. If someone discovers in 6 years from now that their heroism is leading to them to have these problems, we should take care of them. You know, the irony is when we passed the Victims' Compensation Fund after September 11th to take care of the families of those that were lost on September 11th, if any of us knew that people would be steadily dying by degrees with the after effects of this, we would have included it. I think by bipartisan measure, we would have included it. So the only question is, how are we going to deal with people who are steadily getting sick? The fact that it went from 10 to 5, Chuck Schumer's right. It doesn't deny anyone who's got these problems today. Hopefully, in years 4, 5, and 6, and 7, we're going to stop seeing people coming down with these symptoms. But unfortunately, the tragic truth is, this is the worst type of entitlement program in that the group is getting smaller and smaller every day because people are getting sick and dying. So this was not a moment too soon. It is a very good thing that's happened, and a lot of people deserve credit.
Finally, I want to ask you, because I'm always looking to take away happy lessons of legislative progress, what you
That's
think...
never been your MO, but I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
Well, no, I mean, because when you have a successful battle like this, you want to know what worked, right? And it seems to me like there was a number of things here. But one of the things was the voices of the people that were speaking out on behalf of this. We had one of them on the show last night. They were on. How important do you think that was to the ultimate passage of this?
You know, sometimes legislation happens because of really hard work and elbow grease and a brilliant idea of members of Congress or in the legislature. More often than not, it happens because just this unstoppable pressure comes from without. Jon Stewart, Rachel Maddow, you know, the busloads of people from the Feel Good Foundation, that guy Jen Field, coming down. You know, it was very hard for my colleagues at the end of the day looking out at a hearing or at a markup of people who were literally their embodiment of this problem. And also at the end, you know, people like Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand and Harry Reid, to his internal credit, said, you know what, we're not going to leave town until we get this done. And so I think people like Senator Coburn said, you know what, if my objective was to stall until this thing died, the House of Representatives, we literally stayed around. To the credit of Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and a lot of my colleagues, we stayed in session with nothing to do but wait for the Senate to act. Usually that's a fool's errand. It turned out to be just right this time.
Congressman Anthony Weiner, who is a fellow product of New York City's outer boroughs. It's a pleasure. Have a great holiday.
Nice to see you. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Congressional redistricting. Texas and Florida win seats. Ohio and New York lose. But those red states may be getting those seats through blue voters. A new source of woe in the housing crisis. Banks accused of breaking into homes. And when Rachel joins you at the top of the hour, live from the 92nd Street Y, her guest will be New York Times' Paul Krugman. Can't imagine the crowd there will be that into that.